Welcome back to the Actery Magic Channel. I'm Steve, the Actery. Today we're talking about Chishiro, the Shattered Blade. Okay, but before we get into that, I want to let you know that we're doing two parts to this commander because I saw that there was basically a general way that you could build Chishiro, and there's also a very focused on enchantments build. And I wanted to bring up both, so we're building two different videos. So come back tomorrow and I'll show you another video about Chishiro. But before we get into that, I want to let you know that I'm sponsored today by MTG On Command. They're making these really cool deck boxes with these little face plates that are held in place by a magnet. I really like them. I have 4 or 5 of them now. They're pretty cool. Link in the description for a 10% discount on, on a deck box today. All right, but we also have combos at the end of the video, so stay tuned. Let's get into it. Chishiro. I think it's Chishiro. Anyway, he's a snake samurai 4-drop 4/4. Snake samurai. Dude, look at that blade. The blade is freaking cool. It's made out of like I don't know, lightsaber lava. Anyway, whenever an aura or equipment enters the battlefield under your control, create a 2/2 spirit creature token with menace. So we're encouraged to play a lot of equipment. However, I think you can figure out most of the equipment. I think we're going to focus instead on things to support the deck and keep it resilient. Let's look into it. Alright, so at the beginning of your instep, put a 1/1 counter on each modified creature you control. So that means an equipped, an enchanted, or creature with a counter on it of some kind. Now, let's get into it. Must-haves. Okay, if you're playing this deck, you need these cards. Or, I say you need these cards. These are fantastic cards. Hardened Scales is going to add 1 more counter every time you put a counter on dudes. So whenever you go look at Chishiro, he's going to put a 1/1 counter to a modified creature, and then Hardened Scales is going to add 1 more. The Ozolith, whenever a creature you control dies or actually leaves the battlefield, you may put all the 1/1 counters or any of the counters from that creature that left the battlefield onto the Ozolith at the beginning of combat. You put them on an attacking creature, or target creature gets those counters, and you go swinging with that creature. It's fantastic. It's a really good card. Anyway, keep it going. More must-haves: Swiftfoot Boots and Lightning Greaves. Our whole strategy is really focused around Chishiro, so let's keep him alive. Swiftfoot Boots, Lightning Greaves, no surprises here. They're good. Put them in there, and we get 2/2s whenever we cast them. Sweet. Next up, Arnie Slays the Trolls. I thought this was interesting. This could have gone in the enchantments build, but I think it's a little bit more general. For a green and a red, we get target creature you control fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. Okay. Add 1, Saga 2, add 1 red. Put 2 1/1 counters on up to 1 target creature you control. So it ramps us, gives us a modified creature, and also keeps it going. Now, the last one is you gain life equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. We don't really care about that, but it is still nice to have. Buried Ruin is going to just sacrifice itself and return an artifact from our graveyard to our hand. This is fantastic. If you happen to have like Renin 6, you just happen to have in your stockpile of goodies, you can bring back Buried Ruin every turn and be able to sacrifice to get those artifacts or equipment back to your hand with Buried Ruin. I think that'd be a really great combo. All right, next, talking about back to hand, let's talk about Eternal Witness. She's the goddess of getting our crap back. For triple, for double green and a generic, she is a 2/1 human shaman that returns any target card from our graveyard to our hand. She's fantastic, easy include. Also talking back to our hand, very versatile, a little bit more versatile than even Eternal Witness. It's a Balaged Sanctuary. It can enter the battlefield tapped and become a green land, or it can return target card from our graveyard to our hand. So it can be an Eternal Witness, or it can be our land. So, in my opinion, it's a strict upgrade over Eternal Witness, unless you're going to do some kind of blinky blink shenanigans. Balaged's just great. Back to hand, talking about that further, Creeping Renaissance. If you're going to go hard into equipment or hard into enchantments, this is a good include. It says choose a permanent type, return all cards of the chosen type from your graveyard to your hand, and it has flashback. This only says permanents, so if you have to get back your creatures with Creeping Renaissance, you can. Or auras or equipment. Or actually, you don't choose auras, you choose you choose enchantments, and Creeping Renaissance will get back all of your enchantments, even the non-aura ones. Pretty sweet if you ask me. Okay, next up we have Green Warden of Mirasa. He's a 6-drop 5/4 that says whenever it enters battlefield, return target card from your graveyard to your hand. When it dies, you may exile Green Warden. If you do, return target card from your graveyard to your hand. So we get two triggers of returning something from our graveyard to our hand. I think Green Warden is just so good. Next up, we have Ninja. Anyway, so Springleaf Avenger, what didn't make the cut in this deck list, at least I don't think so. I didn't see it in the list. But it's a 6/5. Whenever it deals combat damage, you return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. And Ninjutsu's out for 4. It's really, really cool. I like it a lot. With modified creatures, we have so many different ways of giving them trample, giving them haste, those kinds of things. So there's going to be blockers that they're not blocking. Sorry, attackers that are not blocking. All right. I thought these cards were funny. Kavu Predator is a 2-drop 2/2 trample. It says whenever an opponent gains life, you put that many 1/1 counters on Kavu Predator. They gain 10 life, he gets 10 1/1 counters. He's stupid. Krenko 10 Street Kingpin is a 3-drop, also pretty cool. He's 1/2. He's not the main heart of the deck, but he is going to be gross. He says whenever he attacks, put a 1/1 counter on him, and then create a number of 1/1 red goblin creature tokens equal to Krenko's power. If you have any way of pumping his power, our commander's just going to naturally make him bigger every turn anyway. So we can wait until he's like a 5, 6, or 7, 8, or something like that. And then we're just going to put a ton of creatures out into play. And there's other ways that we can put 1/1 counters on all of our creatures. Therefore, all of these goblins are now modified. And then our commander is going to give them more 1/1 counters. It gets out of hand really quick. All right. Next up, we have some more funny cards that I thought were great. Predator Ooze is a 3-drop 1/1 indestructible. This is whenever it attacks, put a 1/1 counter on it. Fantastic. When a creature dealt damage by Predator Ooze dies, put a 1/1 counter on him. So he's going to get big, and he's just going to stay out on the board because people can't destroy him, and he's just chilling out. He's just a big, dumb creature. Nayeth of the Dire Hunt is a 4-drop. She's going to draw us some cards. Whenever one or more creatures you control fights or becomes blocked, draw a card. So, block my creatures, I get a card. Fantastic. If I have any Fight Bear stuff, draw a card. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay a 2 generic and a Gruul mana. If you do, double target creature's power until end of turn. That creature must be blocked this combat if able. Really forcing people to have to deal with your situation. Like, no, put up with me. All right. Next up, we have more attack shenanigans. Oran Reef Ooze. Okay, it's a 3-drop, 1 green, 2 generic, 2/2. Enters battlefield to put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. We can put it on our commander if we want, or on Oran Reef Ooze. Whenever Oran Reef Ooze attacks, put a 1/1 counter on each attacking creature with a 1/1 counter on it. Just going to make our board really big, really quick, because, again, we're going to get to a point in this video where we're talking about putting 1/1 counters on every creature we control. Again, stay to the end. We've got a combo. We got multiple combos. Anyway, so I suggest you play Oran Reef Ooze and then put the 1/1 counter on himself. That way, whenever he goes attacking, he's going to get 1/1 counters added to him as well. Just my thoughts. Unless you have other ways of putting counters on him. More attack triggers. Helena and Elena. They're not great in the set that they came out in, but they are pretty good in what we're doing here. So, First Strike Reach, 4-drop. In Gruul, 2/3, says at the beginning of combat on your turn, put X 1/1 counters on another target creature you control, where X is Helena and Elena's power. That creature gains haste until end of turn. I really, really like this because it's going to give one of our creatures haste and, at least at a minimum, give them +2 1/1 counters. Now, that's not going to be the way it stays, because if the first turn they come out, you give Helena and Elena those 2 1/1 counters. Oh, it says another target. Anyway, if you give some way to put 1/1 counters on Helena and Elena, and we've got plenty of ways coming up here, then your creatures are going to get out of control really, really quickly. Now, let's talk about being able to cast our spells. Jiang Yangu Wildcrafter and Rishkar Pima Renegade both allow our creatures with 1/1 counters on them to tap for mana. Jiang only adds mana of any color, and then Rishkar adds only green. But they're both going to allow us to put 1/1 counters on creatures that we control, and they're both 3, so they're kind of ramping us in a way. I really love these cards. I've played with them a lot in Hamza. Fantastic. I mean, you play these cards, you've already got all of these 2/2s out there with a bunch of 1/1 counters on them. Suddenly, you've got a lot more mana than your opponents were expecting. It's fantastic. Okay, next up, we got some big dumb Hydras. Not dumb, but they're big. Forgotten Ancient is going to get a 1/1 counter every time your opponent or anyone casts a spell. Same with Mana Gorger Hydra. Mana Gorger Hydra is going to cost 3 and have Trample, whereas Forgotten Ancient is going to be able to move those 1/1 counters at the beginning of your upkeep. Any number, so you don't have to move them all. Next up, we have Wildwood Scourge. Now, Wildwood Scourge is going to get freaking huge. Okay, he's 1 and X, put X number 1/1 counters on him. Whenever 1 or more 1/1 counters are put on another non-Hydra creature you control, put a 1/1 counter on Wildwood Scourge. That means whenever our commander, Chishiro, triggers and puts 1/1 counters on everybody, he's going to get a 1/1 counter from Chishiro, and then his ability at the bottom is going to trigger for each one of those other creatures that are going to get 1/1 counters. He's going to be massive. They're going to have to board wipe you. Play Heroic Intervention, please. Hooded Hydra is a 2 and X with 0/0. This is whenever it enters battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it. When it dies, create a 1/1 green snake creature token for each 1/1 counter on it. And it has morph. If it is turned face up, put 5 1/1 counters on it. So we can play it face down for 3, flip it up for 5. That's pretty good. We're going to get 5 1/1 counters for a total of investment of 8. But if we happen to be able to do that and really put a bunch of power on him, he's going to protect us from board wipe, because we're going to untap and be able to have a board presence after board wipe. Pretty good. Next up, we have Stonecool Serpent. It's an X. It gets X 1/1 counters on it, and it has reach, trample, protection from multicolored, which are most commanders. Pretty cool. Genesis Hydra is going to come in with X 1/1 counters. It's going to look at the top X cards of our library and put a permanent card from the top of our library into play, X or less. It's really fantastic. I really love this card. Now, it's also going to... It's only going to look at the X that we spend on Genesis Hydra. So things like Doubling Season or Hardened Scales, yes, they're going to increase the number of counters he's coming into play with, but they're not going to increase the X of the number of cards we're looking at the top or the X of the permanent we can put into play. An X spell, so for instance, if you reveal Stonecoil Serpent with Genesis Hydra, Stonecoil Serpent will come into play with 0 counters, so don't cast it. Genesis Hydra is better in a deck without a bunch of Hydras. Just putting that one out there. All right, let's talk about entering the battlefield. Cytoplast Rootkin is a 4-drop, 4/4, or enters with 4 1/1 counters. And whenever another creature enters the battlefield under control, we can move a counter from Cytoplast Rootkin onto that new creature, which is fantastic for us. Which means then that creature becomes modified immediately. Additionally, whenever he enters the battlefield himself, I can put 1/1 counters on each other creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it. So I've got a huge board presence with a bunch of modified creatures. Cytoplast Rootkin comes into play and just pluses my board. Yeah, he's good. Also, I can move 1/1 counters from target creature onto Cytoplast Rootkin in case I need to make sure that my new creatures coming into play have a 1/1 counter on them. All right, talking about all creatures getting 1/1 counters, Nissa, Voice of Zendikar. She's a 3-drop legendary planeswalker. She creates 0/3 plant. We don't care about 0/1 plants. She has -2. Put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Fantastic. We love that. That's what 90% of the time what we're going to do is we're going to get late in the game, drop Nissa, -2, put counters on everything we have. Now we're going to have more mana with our earlier Jiangus and Rishkars. We're going to have a lot of haste from some of the other cards in the pre-con. She's fantastic. She does gain you some life and draw you some cards if you happen to get to -7. However, if I'm playing her, I'm going to use that -2 ability almost all the time. Let's see. Okay, this one, fantastic. So, Loyal Guardian, okay? On the turn that Chishiro comes into play, okay, he's going to be a 4-drop. Loyal Guardian is going to come in as our 5-drop, so it's on curve. It says at the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control your commander, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. This is perfect. It's going to take and put 1/1 counters on all of our dudes. The turn it comes into play, basically, And then we're going to get to go swinging with bigger board state, much bigger board state than they were expecting. Loyal Guardian is one of those cards you want to protect in your board state. Oh, this guy might be in the pre-con. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's fantastic. I thought I'd bring him up anyway. All right, Karn's Bastion. Okay, tap for colors or pay for tap proliferate. Choose any number of permanents and or players, then give each another counter of each kind already there. Yes, please. Thank you. Put 1/1 counters on all my dudes. If I happen to have Hardened Scales, I'm going to put 2 1/1 counters on my dudes. If I happen to have Doubling Season, I would put 2 counters on all my dudes. Fantastic. All right, number 4 on our list, Bow of Nylea, because we need some versatility. So attacking creatures you control have Death Touch. My little 2/2s, with 1/1 counters on them now are very lethal. It says pay a green and tap, choose one, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. Yes, please. Or Bow of Nylea deals 2 damage to target creature with flying. Okay, fine. Or gain 3 life. Or put up to 4 cards from your graveyard on the bottom of your library in any order. Again, this helps us stay in the game longer. So maybe we have some kind of shuffle effect. We have a chance then of getting those really key pieces back into the game. I love Bow of Nylea. I love Bow of Nylea. Freaking good. All right, number 3 on our list, Blade of the Blood Chief. Okay, this is a 1-drop, 1 equip. This is whenever a creature dies, any creature, put a 1/1 counter on equipped creature. If equipped creature is a vampire, put 2 1/1 counters on it instead. I do not care about vampires. Just any 1/1 counters for any creature dying on the battlefield on my equipped creature is fantastic. Then I can just move it around and just kill other creatures. Like if you have Goblin Bombardment out, heck yeah, play this. It's fantastic. All right, number 2 on our list, Bloodforged Battle Axe. Oh my goodness. So again, modified can be equipment or auras or counters. We've been focused on counters a lot, but Battleforged Battle Axe says equipped creature gets +2/+0. When equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, create a token that's a copy of Bloodforged Battle Axe. Holy cow. This card, if you've not played with it, is disgusting. Because late game, we're going to have a bunch of extra mana. Might as well equip our, 4 or 5 copies of Bloodforged Battle Axe all over the battlefield. You're going to need some tokens for these things because they're going to get out of hand. Next up, we have our number 1 pick. Drum roll, please. Kadama of the West Tree. Oh my goodness, if you haven't seen this card. I'm going to build like a whole commander deck based on that card right there. He's cool. All right, for a green and 3/3 reach, modified creatures you control have trample. Yes, thank you. Whenever a modified creature you control deals combat damage to a player, search your library for a basic land card. Put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. You know how many modified creatures we're going to have? We're going to have all of our basic lands in play with this guy. It's going to be so stupid. It's so good. Anyway, but you stayed around for the combos. Let's get into it. My basic combos that I love to put in basically everything green are Herd Bailoff and Ivy Lane Denizen. They're an infinite combo at basically the uncommon level. I love these. So Herd Bailoff comes into play. Ivy Lane Denizen's already out. Ivy Lane Denizen says whenever another green creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. Sweet. We're going to put a 1/1 counter on Herd Bailoff. Whenever a 1/1 counter is put on Herd Bailoff, create a 4/4 green beast. A new green creature is going to play. We're going to put another 1/1 counter on Herd Bailoff, another 4/4, another 1/1 counter, another. Anyway, you get the picture. The same thing happens whenever you play Scurry Oak, another infinite combo with Ivy Lane Denizen. Now, the precon has this, I believe this, what do you call it? This enchantment, a 3-drop enchantment that says modified creatures you control have haste. Correct me in the comments. But basically, Scurry Oak is going to be really, really huge. He's going to be massive. So you're going to have basically this infinite dude with haste with that spring, whatever, that hot springs, whatever thing. That's got a picture of a monkey in a spring. I don't remember. Anyway, so it's really, really cool. Now we can go swinging. But my favorite combo to throw in this deck, it's kind of stupid. I love it. It's Old Gnawbone and Aggravated Assault. But Steven, what does that matter? Put Old Gnawbone in literally any green deck and tell me you don't love it afterwards. Just saying. It says whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, create that many treasure tokens. I've got a 7/7. I'm at minimum probably going to hit somebody for 7 points of damage. That means I'm going to get 7 treasure tokens. Aggravated Assault is a 3. Pay 5, double red and 3 generic. Untap all creatures you control. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase, followed by an additional main phase. Play this ability only anytime you can play a sorcery. I've got my treasure tokens that I can conveniently pay for the cost again every time. So, somebody doesn't have a flying blocker, swing. That's the first combat. Make a bunch of treasures. Pay 5, go swing again. Pay 5, go swing again. I love it. Anyway, thank you so much for coming out. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'd love to see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to have another video based on the enchantments for this exact same Chishiro. Anyway, we're going to have another video based on this commander, just on the enchantments alone. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Have a great day. My button.